Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and get back into our coverage over the Heroes Reborn reality. Now, with that being said, unfortunately for you guys out there, we're going to cover another two-part story arc. And I get the idea that you guys, may want me to cover more issues in each video. But the thing is about Heroes Reborn is that it was so well connected that you kind of had to jump over to all the different titles for different parts of storylines happening for each of the characters. So unfortunately, when it came to this storyline, you can only cover the two issues right here and then jump over to a different book. But either way, we do pick up with Loki. Now, for good old Loki, he kind of realized that he is the Loki from the main Marvel universe, but also that he's currently stuck in this alternate reality. But either way, he wants to get ready to attack Midgard. Now, before he's officially ready to go after Midgard, we do see Loki ask the Enchantress, like, hey, is everything ready to go? And she says yes. And so just like that, it's now time for Loki and her to begin their attack on, well, the Avengers. Now, let's not forget that this comes right after the whole Industrial Revolution storyline. So with that storyline, the Avengers are no longer working with Nick Fury. And matter of fact, when it comes to the Avengers, they're solo now. And you have Tony Stark being the one to kind of pay for everything the Avengers may need. And the Avengers had officially moved away from Avengers Island and had officially moved over to Avengers Mansion, the old home that belonged to Tony Stark's parents. Now, for Tony, we see him as Iron Man. Let's not forget that for most of the world, they don't know that Iron Man is Tony Stark. We're playing with the whole idea that Iron Man is Tony Stark's bodyguard. But with that being said, when it comes to Iron Man, he's picking the last few things up that belong to the Avengers on Avengers Island from Nick Fury. Now for Tony, he also wants to take Vision, but Nick Fury says no. And the reason why, because when it came to Hank Pym worked on Vision while working for S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, to everybody else, Hank Pym is currently missing. But in reality, for Hank Pym, he's trapped inside the Vision right now. Now, here comes the problem for Hank Pym while being trapped inside the Vision. Now, let's not forget that technically, when it came to Hank Pym, he got trapped inside the Vision by his other robot, better known as Ultron. But while being trapped inside the Vision has all these different security measures just going off left and right, trying to kill off anything it believes that could harm Vision from the inside out. And so currently right now, all those different security systems believe that Hank Pym is some kind of virus or something that's trying to do harm to Vision's body from the inside out. And so you have Hank Pym just trying his best to, well, survive. Now we kind of have to switch over to, well, Agatha Harkness, because in an earlier storyline, we had saw her be attacked by Loki and the Enchantress. And the reason why, because one of their first moves against the Avengers was to get the Scarlet Witch. And the reason why, because to the Enchantress, she believes the Scarlet Witch to be her daughter. And so you have the two characters work together to, well, turn the good old lady Agatha Harkness into a tree. Now, her good old cat friend, Ebony, is also trying to free her from, well, her current prison. But for Agatha, what she had to do to escape her current prison was to possess the body of the cat Ebony so that she can go on her way to hopefully save the Scarlet Witch. But now we have to switch over to Hawkeye. Now, when we do, it's really more of Hawkeye in like this training room where he's being able to relive a mission from his past, where him and another character known as the Grim Reaper, they were assigned to go get information about Zemo. The thing is, they got the intel that they were looking for, and they're on their way back to tell Nick Fury that Zemo is still alive. The problem is that Grim Reaper got hit on the way back over to Nick Fury. And so we're kind of left to believe that Grim Reaper had died on that mission. The problem is that before we're able to learn what exactly happened to Grim Reaper, the training session is turned off by, well, Hellcat. And really, it's more of Hellcat just telling us that she was also there on that mission. But again, we don't really get the chance to learn more about that one particular mission. Now we do switch over to Captain America, and the reason why, because you have Steve Rogers currently standing over the body of Swordsman, who was badly injured against the battle against the Hulk. And the thing is, when it came to Swordsman, he believed that Steve Rogers did not like him. And so when it came to their battle against the Hulk, it was Swordsman trying his best to prove something, but unfortunately, he got severely injured. And so is Steve kind of feeling bad about the idea of not telling Swordsman, like, really? I did look at you as a hero. Like, I actually did care for you. And now, unfortunately, here you are just almost lifeless. And so you have Steve tell the man, like, in my mind, in my book, you are a hero. But this kind of leads us into the ending of the first chapter, because when you do have the Avengers just chilling at Avengers Mansion, well, out of nowhere, they hear this knock, just banging on the door. Now, for Tony Stark, he's kind of like, who in the world was able to get past all of my security? Now, you do have Thor answer the door, and it's Wonder Man of the Heroes Reborn reality who just knocks the heck out of Thor. But the thing is, when it comes to Wonder Man, he didn't come alone. Matter of fact, he came here with the Enchantress, and this is her group, the Lethal Legion. And so you have Wonder Man, Ultron 5, the Executioner, and of course, Enchantress as well. Now for Tony, he's kind of wondering how in the world were they able to get past all of his security? Well, that will be because of the Scarlet Witch, who is currently being controlled by the Enchantress. And so as we get into the next chapter, we're picking up with, well, good old Kang the Conqueror. Now, when it comes to Kang the Conqueror, he was defeated in an earlier storyline when it came to the Avengers. Now, after losing that battle against the Avengers, we did learn that he was trying to win the heart of Mantis. But now it's him telling Mantis, like, he wants to go after the Avengers again, but this time to defeat them for revenge, not to win the heart of Mantis. But while you have Kang the Conqueror saying that, well, out of nowhere, you have these two characters be confronted by this mysterious character. And you didn't have this mysterious character go out of their way to turn Kang the Conqueror and Mantis into like pure energy. And so just like that, they were officially taken off the board. But now we're able to switch back over to the Avengers. Now, when we do, we see the Avengers fighting against the Lethal Legion. Now, this battle does not take that long. Matter of fact, you have our heroes being able to win the battle in like 2 to 3 pages, just that quick. You even have good old Steve Rogers being able to take down Ultron, which I found pretty interesting, but at the same time, you can tell that this is the story trying to move on to the next few things it wants to involve in this one particular issue. Now, with their team losing, you had a Scarlet Witch and also Enchantress leave. And so it's kind of like, okay, why in the world would the Enchantress bring together this team that would lose so easily to the Avengers and then leave them behind just like that, but also make sure to grab the Scarlet Witch? Like, what is in her Loki's plan? Now, you do have the Avengers being able to get a hold of Wonder Man and also the Executioner to basically make them prisoners. But for Steve Rogers, he knows where they should possibly go, to be held by S.H.I.E.L.D. And so for good old Steve, he has to call in Nick Fury. Now, for Steve Rogers, he kind of realized there's something going on with all these different attacks just popping up left and right. Because for Captain America and also the Avengers, they have fought against AIM. They have fought against the Hulk. You also have Loki and the Enchantress and their new Lethal Legion group right there. It's all happening so fast at a very fast pace. And matter of fact, you also had Kang the Conqueror as well. And so for Steve, he's kind of wondering, like, what is all their connection? Because it's just very weird how all these different characters are attacking us back to back to back. And so you have Steve as Nick if he can talk to MODOK, because over in the good old series for Captain America issue number 6, you have Steve and Cable team up to fight against AIM. So right now MODOK is currently a prisoner. But like we saw earlier, when it came to MODOK, while being in prison, he's also confronted by this mysterious character who goes out of their way to turn MODOK into, well, energy, just like King and also Mantis as well, leaving us wondering what in the world could possibly be going on. But now we're able to switch back over to Hank Pym. Now, when we do learn that for Hank Pym, he's still inside the body of Vision, but he kind of realized where was most of the damage done when it came to Vision, when it came to Avengers fighting against Kang the Conqueror in an earlier storyline. Most of the damage took place in the brain part of Vision. Now, once you have Hank Pym arrived, he's kind of like, okay, cool. It's now time for me to go ahead and get to work. Except out of nowhere, he's then attacked inside the mind of Vision. So now we're kind of left to wonder what happened to Hank Pym. But now we have to switch back over to Captain America, because for Steve and also Nick Fury, they're on their way to pay a visit to MODOK, who is currently a prisoner to S.H.I.E.L.D. Except when they arrived, you have our heroes be informed that MODOK is no longer there. And the reason why, because, well, as we saw earlier, a mysterious character took MODOK away, turning him into energy. Now, for Nick and also for Steve, they have no idea what happened to MODOK. All they have right now is a clue, where basically the shackles that were being used on MODOK are still there and they're currently locked. And so for S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick and also Steve, they're kind of wondering like what exactly happened here. Now, as we do get back over to the Avengers, you have Agnetha trying to pay them a visit to warn them what exactly is going on. The problem is that Agnetha is taken out by an unknown force. And then you have the Avengers be confronted by another group of villains. And this time it would be the Masters of Evil. You got Black Knight. You got Radioactive Man, you got Claw, you got Melter. You also have Whirlwind as well, and I'm kind of wondering if this is a completely different Whirlwind, because there was another one, but he was killed off over in Iron Man comics in this reality. But either way, for our heroes, they're kind of like, great, another super villain team, like what in the world is going on here? But then a missile is shot at them. Now, as we do get over to the end of this storyline, we do learn like who was this mysterious character just going around absorbing different people. Well, it was Loki. And so we see Loki right now paying a visit over to Wonder Man and also the Executioner. And you have Loki go out of his way to turn them into, well, energy. And so just like that, they are gone. But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.